This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(1:15 p.m.) This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The President advises to cut 5% of the estimated expenditure allocated under the proposals of the 2023 budget to all ministries. The government has mediated to control some fungus disease being spread on paddy cultivation in several districts. The economic intellectuals have been pointed out that it is the responsibility of all politicians to provide solutions for the grievances of the people than giving priority for elections. Supreme Court upholds verdict against ex-President's Chief of Staff and ex-STC Chairman. The National Dengue Eradication Unit says that 2,142 dengue patients have been identified during the first week of this year. Foreign news, Prince Harry condemns dangerous spin about his Taliban comments. News in detail. As instructed by President Ranil Wickremesinghe to the Cabinet of Ministers, 5% of the estimated expenditure allocated under the proposals of the 2023 budget to all ministries will be curtailed. A severe crisis has been created regarding the payment of state employees' salaries, samurdhi and other welfare activities during the month of January and February. The payment can be delayed by 2 weeks. Treasury is currently facing a severe depletion of funds, worse than what was anticipated, but priority will be given for the payment of state workers' pension payment and allowances for the elderly. The government has mediated to control some fungus disease being spread on paddy cultivation in several districts. The necessary advice and funds have been provided by the Ministry of Agriculture. Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, Gunadasa Samarasinghe, stated that a special team of officials has been sent to these districts to take speedy measures to control this menace and to educate the farmers in this regard. The economic intellectuals have pointed out that it is the responsibility of all politicians to provide solutions for the grievances of the people than giving priority for the elections. Directing a letter to the government, they stated that by conducting an election, 72 billion rupees has to be spent only for the three main parties, in addition to the government's expenditure for the election. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
The Supreme Court today upheld the verdict issued by the Colombo High Court trial at bar on former President Maithripala Sirisena's Chief of Staff and the former Chairman of the State Timber Corporation and confirmed their jail sentences over charges of accepting a bribe of 20 million rupees. Accordingly, the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka upheld the verdict issued by the High Court trial at bar and confirmed the jail sentence on former President's Chief of Staff K. Mahanama and former STC Chairman P. Disanayake, who were found guilty of accepting a bribe of 20 million rupees from an Indian businessman. The former Presidential Chief of Staff was sentenced to 20 years rigorous imprisonment and was fined 65,000 rupees and a penalty of 20 million rupees on the 19th of December 2019 after being found guilty of soliciting a bribe of 100 million rupees and accepting 20 million rupees from that as an advance. The former STC chairman was also found guilty in the same bribery case and was sentenced to 12 years rigorous imprisonment and imposed a fine of 55,000 rupees. 8 political parties and 11 independent groups have placed cash deposits for the upcoming local government election by yesterday. The Election Commission stated the Jana Peramuna has made their cash deposits for Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Trincomalee districts yesterday. Meanwhile, the United National Freedom Front has also deposited money for the Negombo Pradeshiya Sabha in the Gampa district. Ilankei Tamil Arasakachi has completed their cash deposit for the 11 LG institutions except for Kathankudi in the Battikal district, whilst United Congress Party deposited money for Kalpitiya Pradeshiya Sabha yesterday. And that ends local news for now.
Your sister got him the most valuable gift of all.
My family will do anything for our child's future.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
National Dengue Eradication Unit says that 2,142 dengue patients have been identified during the first week of this year. 440 dengue cases have been reported from the Gampar district and 433 cases were reported from the Colombo district. Meanwhile, 273 from Putlam and 128 cases from the Jaffna district were reported. Therefore, the unit has requested the public to keep their premises clean in order to prevent the spread of the dengue disease.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight this afternoon, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that water supply will be suspended for 12 hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow due to essential maintenance at the Kandana Water Purification Plant. Accordingly, Ingiriya, Horana, Bandaragama, Valmilla, Panadura, Keselwatta, Moratuwa, Kiriberiya, Piliyandala, Kasbava, Vathara, Madapatha, Kumbuka and Raugama will be affected. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
In the headlines, Prince Harry condemns dangerous spin about his Taliban comments. Brazil riots, arrests ordered for top officials after capital stormed, and millions and risk of flooding as fierce storm lashes California. Prince Harry has said claims he boasted in his new book about killing 25 Taliban fighters while on duty in Afghanistan are a dangerous lie. The prince has been criticized for discussing killings in Spare, with some military figures saying it was wrong to refer to the dead as chess pieces. But on US TV, Harry accused the press of taking his words out of context, adding the spin endangered his family. He also defended his remarks, saying he had wanted to reduce veteran suicide. Spare, which was published on Tuesday, has become the fastest-selling non-fiction book ever in the UK. Brazil's judicial authorities have ordered the arrest of top officials after rioters stormed key government buildings in Brasilia. One official, the former commander of the military police, has been arrested, local media reported. The officials also include Brasilia's former public security chief, Anderson Torres, and other responsible for acts and omissions leading to the riots, the Attorney General's office said. Mr. Torres denies any role in the riots. Colonel Fabio Augusto, the police commander, was dismissed from his role after supporters of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro stormed Congress, the Presidential Palace and the Supreme Court. At least 14 people have died in California as a fierce storm brings torrential downpours, high winds and flooding to the state. Thousands of people have evacuated their homes, while millions more are under severe weather warnings. Nearly 188,000 homes and businesses were without electricity, according to the data from poweroutage.us. Heavy rain is forecast to last much of the state throughout Tuesday, with some areas at risk of dangerous mudslides. The National Weather Service has described it as the most impressive storm since January 2005. And back to the headlines of the world news. Prince Harry condemns dangerous spin about his Taliban comments. Brazil riots, arrests ordered for top officials after capital stormed. And millions at risk of flooding as fierce storm lashes California. And that ends World News.
Development News.
A special workshop was conducted in Uppueli to identify the projects proposed by the budget to be implemented in the Eastern Province this year. It was conducted with the participation of the Governor of the province, Anuradha Yahampath. And that was development news. Moving on to sports, it's cricket. The second ODI between Sri Lanka and India will be held tomorrow at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. The match will begin at 1:30 p.m. And that was sports news. Coming up next is business news.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Hatton National Bank won the coveted Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Award 2022 at the 19th Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Award organised by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Sampath Bank and Sri Lanka were adjudged the first and second runners-up respectively.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Economic News, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
The Ministry of Plantation Industries of Sri Lanka has entered into a memorandum of understanding with a French expert in the rubber industry, SOPA, for capacity building of rubber smallholders in Sri Lanka. A memorandum of understanding between Ministry of Plantation Industries of Sri Lanka and SERPA was finalized with SERPA Managing Director Rafael Aros signing it at the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Paris in the presence of Chargé d'Affaires and diplomatic staff of the embassy. And that was economic news.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LONC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience. Weather Report.
On to the weather report, the Met Department says that mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. And that was the weather report. And before we conclude this news broadcast, the headlines again. The President advises to cut 5% of the estimated expenditure allocated under the proposals of the 2023 budget to all ministries. The government has mediated to control some fungus disease being spread on paddy cultivation in several districts. The economic intellectuals have pointed out that it is the responsibility of all politicians to provide solutions for the grievances of the people than giving priority for the elections. Supreme Court upholds verdict against ex-President's Chief of Staff and ex-STC Chairman. The National Dengue Eradication Unit says that 2,142 dengue patients have been identified during the first week of this year. And on foreign news, Prince Harry condemns dangerous spin about his Taliban comments. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.